The sensible part of my brain, the one that pays taxes and remembers to buy milk, screamed, "Alex, don't do it!" It's a small, persistent voice, usually drowned out by the whir of quadcopter blades or the satisfying click of a well-soldered joint. But today, it was putting up a valiant, albeit doomed, effort. Then there was Brenda. Brenda, our neighborhood's self-appointed guardian of all things beige and boring, a human megaphone in a floral pantsuit, currently attempting to drown $10,000 of my blood, sweat, and circuit boards with a garden hose. Her face, a mask of righteous fury, was aimed squarely at my beautiful, innocent, and very expensive prototype drone. The sensible part of my brain didn't stand a chance against that kind of provocation. 1 minute later, the sky above Maple Creek Estates began to buzz. Not with bees, mind you, with vengeance. Well, polka-playing, confetti-pooping HOA bylaw reciting vengeance, to be exact. And it was glorious. I'm not a bad guy, really. I just like things that fly, and things that are smart. My garage? It's less cars and lawnmowers, more drone parts, soldering stations, and the shattered dreams of an early retirement funded by a revolutionary patent. It's my sanctuary, my canvas, my slightly too flammable man cave. Today's big project, the one currently being waterboarded by Brenda's aggressive sprinkler technique, is the Phoenix Angel FDX 5000. She's not just a drone. She's an advanced fire suppression prototype I've been tinkering with for the better part of a year. Picture this: a sleek carbon fiber frame, whisper-quiet rotors, onboard AI, thermal imaging sharper than a critic's tongue, and the ability to deploy a targeted microburst of eco-friendly fire retardant, or, water the petunias with pinpoint accuracy from 50 feet up if the mood strikes. She's my magnum opus, my baby. Okay, Phoenix Angel, I'm thinking, watching the telemetry on my tablet, my teeth grinding. Pre-flight checks were nominal. All systems green. Just a simple perimeter scan and a test deployment on that suspiciously dry patch by Old Man Henderson's notoriously flammable garden shed. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Or so I thought. My day job is in software development, architecting elegant solutions for complex problems, which mostly means untangling code someone else wrote after too much coffee and not enough sleep. It pays the bills, keeps my brain cells from staging a revolt, and, most importantly, funds my extracurricular aerial activities. Maple Creek Estates, with its wide-open green spaces, perfect for test flights, and its meticulously manicured lawns, perfect for Brenda's surveillance, seemed like a good place to settle down when I first moved in. The HOA, I figured, was a small price to pay for a neighborhood where people generally kept to themselves. Oh, the naivety. Brenda, you see, is the unofficial welcoming committee, rules enforcer, and general harbinger of passive-aggressive doom. My first memorable encounter involved my trash cans being 17 minutes too early on the curb for pickup. 17 minutes. I received a politely worded, yet somehow menacing, little note typed on aggressively cheerful yellow paper, citing Bylaw 4, subsection Q, paragraph 2. Refuse receptacle placement, timing and decorum. I'd framed it. It hangs in the garage, a testament to the battles I unknowingly signed up for. So, there I am, this fine Tuesday morning. The Phoenix Angel is airborne, a graceful silver hawk against the painfully blue suburban sky. She's performing beautifully, responding to my commands with the precision of a Swiss watch. I'm monitoring her thermal scan of the neighborhood's perimeter, a feature I'm actually hoping to propose to our highly reluctant HOA as a voluntary, community-funded fire watch system. Imagine early warnings for grill flare-ups, faulty wiring, maybe even rogue squirrels with matches. The possibilities are endless. The Phoenix Angel makes a slow, deliberate pass near Brenda's property line. Her prize-winning Crimson Glory rose bushes are legendary, mostly because she talks about them at every HOA meeting, complete with a PowerPoint presentation. And, ironically, the thermal camera is picking up a minor heat anomaly near them. Not the roses themselves, but her enormous, triple-bagged compost heap bubbling away like a witch's cauldron right next to her prize-winning and very flammable wooden fence. "Hey, you!" The shriek cuts through the gentle hum of the rotors. It's Brenda, bursting from her back door like she was spring-loaded, a gardening trowel wielded like a weapon. "What is that? That thing doing over my award-winning Crimson Glory roses? Is that spying on me? I know my rights. This is an invasion of privacy, and probably a violation of HOA Bylaw 7, subsection C, paragraph 4. No unmanned aerial devices creating nuisance or perceived threat." She actually has the bylaw number memorized. I'm almost impressed. I've equipped the Phoenix Angel with a small, surprisingly clear speaker. "Brenda," I project, my voice calm, trying for friendly neighborhood tech guy. "It's just a diagnostic run, strictly for fire safety evaluation. Your roses are magnificent, as always. Though, just a heads up, that compost heap next to them is looking a little toasty. Might want to give it a stir. This, apparently, is the wrong thing to say." Brenda's face contorts. "Toasty? Are you threatening my compost? My organic, hand-turned, award-pending compost?" Before I can explain that, no, I am not engaged in compost-related terrorism. She grabs her garden hose, the one with the industrial-looking nozzle she probably uses to power wash dissent out of the neighborhood. And she opens fire. A jet of water arcs towards the Phoenix Angel. It's a $10,000 prototype, packed with sensitive electronics. My heart does a little samba of terror against my ribs. I try to maneuver it up, away, but she's surprisingly agile with that hose, like she's been training for this exact moment her whole life. The water glances off a rotor arm. She is not spraying my $10,000 state-of-the-art, potentially world-saving drone with chlorinated tap water. My internal monologue is screaming now. The sheer audacity, the potential for catastrophic short-circuiting, the chlorine damage to the custom paint job. I try to bring the Phoenix Angel in for an emergency landing in my own driveway, which is, thankfully, quite large. It's descending, a little wobblier than I'd like, when Brenda, in a fit of what I can only describe as peak Karen peak, throws her laminated copy of the HOA bylaws at it. The glossy projectile sails through the air, missing the drone by inches, but forcing me to overcorrect. The Phoenix Angel touches down with a bump, its landing gear absorbing most of the impact. But it's a rougher landing than I'd like. One of its little LED status lights is blinking an indignant red. The Phoenix Angel is grounded, and so, it seems, is my patience. I'm fuming. My beautiful Phoenix Angel manhandled, or should I say drone-handled, by a rogue stream of municipal water and then assaulted by flying laminated paper. The audacity. I rush over and gently run my hands over its fuselage. It's mostly fine, a few water spots, maybe a slightly offended proximity sensor, but my patience is now a smoldering crater. Okay, Alex. Deep breaths. She didn't actually damage it beyond its dignity and my blood pressure, but the principle of the thing, the sheer, unadulterated, weaponized garden hose Karen-ness of it all. This aggression will not stand. This is an affront to science, to innovation, to slightly obsessive hobbyists everywhere. What did Oppenheimer supposedly say? Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Probably a bit much for a suburban squabble. But maybe, now I am become slightly annoying. The deployer of many, many smaller, far more expendable drones. I walk into my garage. The scent of solder and ozone is comforting. My eyes pan across my other collection. The smaller, more versatile drones. The ones built not for saving the world, but for, shall we say, creative problem-solving. A mischievous, possibly unhinged grin spreads across my face. It's the kind of grin that usually precedes a late night, a lot of caffeine, and something that will make my sensible brain voice weep. Brenda, I whisper to the assembled fleet of quadcopters, hexacopters, and one particularly plucky miniature blimp I rescued from a clearance sale. You wanted to see an unmanned aerial device creating nuisance? Honey, you haven't seen anything yet. Prep Swarm Protocol, Operation Heckle and Swarm. It's been exactly 1 minute since your assault on the Phoenix Angel. Time for a proportional, and dare I say, educational response. My Heckle and Swarm arsenal isn't exactly military grade. It's more party store grade with significant aftermarket modifications. Each one is a testament to too much free time and an internet connection. First up, there's DJ Dronimo, a ruggedized quadcopter chassis with surprisingly powerful, waterproofed Bluetooth speakers jury-rigged to its undercarriage. His current playlist is a carefully curated selection of auditory torment. Baby Shark on a relentless loop, followed by an obscure German polka band I found on a forgotten MP3 player, and a 15-minute supercut of the most annoying TikTok sounds of 2024. His mission? Sonic saturation. Then we have the Bylaw Bard. This one's a bit more sophisticated. A sleek hexacopter equipped with a small, programmable LED scroller and a surprisingly crisp text-to-speech module. I've preloaded him with the entire Maple Creek Estate's HOA bylaw document, with a special emphasis on obscure and frequently ignored clauses, particularly those Brenda herself has likely violated. For instance, Section 9F. All garden gnomes, regardless of material or perceived whimsy, must maintain a stoic and non-judgmental demeanor when viewed from public thoroughfares. Or Bylaw 22. C. Excessive and competitive holiday lighting displays causing retinal distress to neighboring properties are to be discouraged. Brenda's Christmas display could power a small city. Next, Confetti Carl. A cheerful little quadcopter painted bright yellow, modified with a small, remote-triggered confetti cannon. The confetti is biodegradable, of course. I'm not a monster, just an intensely annoyed monster with an appreciation for dramatic flair. His job? To provide celebratory punctuation to moments of peak Brenda frustration. And my personal favorite for stealth annoyance, the Shadow. A tiny, near-silent drone, painted matte black, equipped with a single, faintly glowing red LED. Its only job is to follow Brenda at a perfectly legal but deeply unsettling 15-foot distance, just to, observe. Finally, there's the Spotlight 6, a coordinated team of 6 small, agile drones. Each one is equipped with a bright, programmable LED spotlight. They're capable of creating synchronized light shows, spelling out short words, if I'm feeling ambitious, or just focusing an annoying number of lumens on one particular spot, like, say, a prized rose bush or a particularly irate HOA queen. The launch sequence is a thing of beauty, if I do say so myself. One by one, they emerge from my garage, a buzzing, whirring cloud of minor irritation, like a scene from a low-budget sci-fi movie where the alien invasion is more annoying than terrifying. My neighbor, Mrs. Periwinkle, peeks out from behind her curtains, her eyes wide. Mr. Henderson, across the street, actually lowers his newspaper. This is already more excitement than Maple Creek Estates has seen since the Great Raccoon Uprising of 1922. Initial target, Brenda's award-winning Crimson Glory rose bushes. DJ Dronimo takes up a hovering position directly above them, serenading the delicate petals with a particularly aggressive rendition of Itsy Bitsy Spider. The bylaw bard floats nearby, its synthesized voice reciting, in a monotone that somehow makes it even more infuriating, Bylaw 12A, excessive pruning indicative of obsessive behavior or an unhealthy preoccupation with horticultural dominance, is strongly discouraged. Brenda's reaction is cinematic. She storms out of her front door, her face a roadmap of disbelief rapidly contorting into incoherent, sputtering rage. "What in the Sam Hill is this?" she screeches, her voice cracking. "Are you insane? This is harassment. This is an aerial infestation. I'm calling the police. I'm calling the HOA president. I'm calling my nephew who knows a guy who knows about computers." Right on cue, as if scripted by a cosmic entity with a penchant for farcical timing, a beat-up Ford pickup truck, emblazoned with the slightly faded logo, Dave and Dale's Discount Fencing and Other Stuff We Can Probably Fix, pulls up to my house. It's Dave and Dale, here to finally replace that microscopic section of fence Brenda complained about 3 months ago. Apparently, it had a speck of mildew the size of a pinhead, which, according to Bylaw 18G, constituted aesthetic blight. Dave, a burly man with a permanent expression of mild bewilderment, kills the engine and scratches his head, staring up at DJ Dronimo, who has just transitioned into a lively polka. Dale," he says to his partner, who is equally lanky and equally bewildered. "You seeing this? Looks like a robot party gone a bit sideways." Dale squints. "Think this is that smart home stuff, Dave? My kid's got one of them talking hockey pucks that orders pizza. Ain't never seen one that does polka or talks about gnomes." The bylaw bard is now helpfully reminding Brenda about gnome demeanor. Dave and Dale try to approach my front door, cautiously navigating the low-flying bylaw bard and the general perimeter being patrolled by the shadow, which is now doing slow, lazy circles around Brenda as she gesticulates wildly into her phone. "Morning, gentlemen," I call out, trying for an air of strained politeness. "Perfect timing. Just a little atmospheric adjustment in progress. Don't mind us. The fence is over there." I point vaguely. Dave eyes Confetti Carl, which is hovering near my porch looking deceptively innocent. "Atmospheric. Right. So, about this fence, Mr. Alex. You still want the cedar pickets, or should we maybe look into something? Drone-resistant? Chain link, perhaps? With a razor wire top?" Brenda, spotting potential allies, or at least fresh ears for her tale of woe, descends upon the hapless contractors. "You see this? You see what this maniac is doing?" she shrieks, pointing a trembling finger first at me, then at the buzzing swarm. "This is a menace to public safety. Those things could fall on someone. They could interfere with air traffic." Confetti Carl, sensing an Oscar-worthy performance in progress, chooses this exact moment for a celebratory burst of biodegradable paper directly over Brenda's meticulously coiffed helmet of hair. She lets out a yelp that could curdle milk. Dave and Dale exchange a long, meaningful glance. This is clearly above their pay grade. Dale subtly reaches into the truck and pulls out a half-eaten bag of chips. The Spotlight 6 now activate in earnest. They've abandoned subtlety and are projecting a slowly rotating, surprisingly high-definition image of a surprised cat onto Brenda's pristine white garage door. The shadow, meanwhile, is doing a fantastic job of just being there. It hovers, it zips, it occasionally flashes its single red LED, causing Brenda to constantly look over her shoulder with a twitchy paranoia that's almost pitiable. Almost. "Yes, officer!" Brenda is bellowing into her phone, loud enough for the entire cul-de-sac and possibly low-orbiting satellites to hear. "It's an aerial assault. Hundreds of them. They're weaponized. He's a techno-terrorist. He's probably broadcasting Subversive messages, send everyone. Send the National Guard. Hundreds? Brenda, darling, it's like 10 tops. And the only thing they're weaponized with is questionable taste in music, an encyclopedic knowledge of HOA regulations, and an excess of party supplies. My internal monologue is having a field day. More neighbors are out now. Mrs. Periwinkle is filming on her phone, a rapt expression on her face. This is definitely going on the neighborhood Facebook group later. Old Man Henderson is on his porch, actually tapping his foot to DJ Geronimo's polka. A group of teenagers on bikes have stopped at the end of the street, openly laughing and pointing. A small, socially distanced crowd is forming. Maple Creek Estates hasn't seen this much communal activity since someone accidentally put a "Free Kittens" sign up and was inundated for a week. The bylaw bard shifts tactics. Its LED screen now flashes messages aimed directly at Brenda, its synthesized voice cutting through the polka like a passive-aggressive knife. Brenda, is your lawn maintained at the regulation 3.5 inches? Section 5B requires it. Followed by, did you obtain written permission from the Architectural Review Committee for that obtrusive pink flamingo in your flower bed, Brenda? Bylaw 14. G is quite clear on ornamental fowl. Her flamingo, Floyd, is her other pride and joy, after the roses and her laminated bylaws. Dale, one of the contractors, ever the pragmatist, tries to offer Brenda a spare, slightly dusty hard hat from their truck. "Safety first, ma'am," he says, his face perfectly straight. Dave is trying very hard not to laugh while attempting to measure a fence post that the shadow keeps playfully buzzing. Brenda, realizing her frantic phone calls aren't yielding an instant SWAT team response, and possibly inspired by her earlier success with the laminated bylaws, decides on direct action. Again. She disappears into her garage for a moment and emerges brandishing a broom. A long-handled, bristly broom, which she wields with surprising ferocity. She starts swinging wildly at DJ Geronimo, who is still blaring its infectious polka medley. The drone, thanks to its advanced obstacle avoidance sensors, and my frantic joystick movements from my porch command center, skillfully bobs and weaves, the oom-pa music never faltering. Confetti Carl, sensing an opportune moment for more celebratory punctuation, delivers another targeted burst right, as Brenda misses a particularly enthusiastic swing. The confetti rains down around her like a mocking ticker tape parade. "Get down, you infernal contraption!" Brenda shrieks with each swipe, her floral pantsuit a blur of motion. She's got spirit, I'll give her that, I think, trying to suppress a chuckle. Terrible aim, but an undeniable commitment to analog warfare in a digital age. The shadow, emboldened by Brenda's focus on DJ Geronimo, does a little zigzag dance just out of broom reach, its single red LED eye seeming to wink. It's pure, unadulterated suburban chaos. The contractors have paused work entirely and are just watching the spectacle unfold. Dave now munching on the chips Dale had procured. Dave even offers me one over the fence line we're supposedly fixing. "Dinner and a show, eh, boss?" he mutters, a grin playing on his lips. This is better than television, and it's happening live, in my front yard. And then, the inevitable. The distant, mournful wail of sirens. It grows closer, slicing through the polka and Brenda's frustrated roars. A patrol car, its lights flashing with an almost festive cheer against the clear sky, turns on to Maple Creek Drive. Then another. The party, it seems, is about to get its official, government-mandated guests. "Okay, Team Phase 2, I mutter, tapping commands into my tablet. I calmly recall Confetti Carl and DJ Geronimo to less provocative positions, having them hover discreetly over my own roof. The bylaw bard goes into silent mode, its LED screen now just displaying a polite, almost apologetic, "Have a nice day." The shadow, however, remains on Brenda duty, maintaining its vigilant, annoying vigil. The Spotlight 6, sensing a shift in tone, dim their garage door projection of the surprised cat to a tasteful, pulsating blue, like a calming screensaver. Enter Officers Miller and Rodriguez. Officer Miller looks like he's seen it all, twice, survived the T-shirt, and wasn't impressed any of the times. He has the weary, seen-too-much suburban drama aura of a man who's refereed one too many disputes over property lines and aggressively barking chihuahuas. Officer Rodriguez is younger, greener, trying to maintain a professional poker face, but his eyes are wide as dinner plates as he takes in the scene. The hovering drones, the fuming Brenda with her broom, the bewildered contractors, the giggling teenagers, and me, standing on my porch like the conductor of a very strange orchestra. "All right, folks, show's over. Nothing to see here," Officer Miller announces, his voice a gravelly monotone that brooks no argument. "Please return to your regularly scheduled lawn maintenance, competitive gardening, whatever it is you people do out here." Brenda, however, is not to be deterred. She rushes towards them, her floral pantsuit practically vibrating with indignation. "Officers, thank heavens you're here! Arrest this man!" she shrieks, pointing a trembling, confetti-dusted finger at me. "He's attacking me! With an army of flying robots! It's an aerial assault!" Officer Miller lets out a sigh, a sound that seems to carry the collective weight of 1,000 petty neighborhood disputes. Officer Rodriguez, ever the diligent rookie, gets out his notepad and a pen that looks like it's seen more action writing parking tickets than Foxtrot uniform reports. "Ma'am, please calm down," Officer Miller says, holding up a placating hand. "Start from the beginning, and if you could, try to use words with less than 4 syllables. I'm running on gas station coffee and existential dread here." Brenda launches into her testimony. It's a masterpiece of dramatic embellishment, a true flight of suburban fantasy. From my vantage point on the porch, I can hear most of it, and it's impressive. The Phoenix Angel, in her retelling, wasn't a research prototype. It was a giant, menacing war machine that dive-bombed her prize-winning roses with malicious intent, probably trying to steal their award-winning essence. The Heckle and Swarm wasn't a collection of modified hobby drones. It was a coordinated terrorist attack by a swarm of silent, deadly assassins that blanketed the neighborhood in shrapnel. It was biodegradable confetti, Brenda biodegradable, and blasted, deafening, mind-altering propaganda. The polka was catchy, not mind-altering, though I suppose that's subjective. She claims the shadow, with its single, baleful red eye, tried to steal her identity through its demonic retinal scanner and probably uploaded her deepest fears to the dark web. Officer Rodriguez is scribbling furiously. "Demonic, retinal, scanner. Got it, ma'am." He glances up at the shadow, which hovers impassively. Officer Miller just stares at Brenda for a long moment, then slowly turns his gaze to me. "Sir," he says, his voice flat. "Your side of the story? And please, for the love of all that is holy and caffeinated, tell me there's a reasonable explanation that doesn't involve international espionage or attempts to steal rose essence." Dave, one of the contractors, decides this is his moment to contribute to the official record. "Officer," he says, ambling over, Dale trailing him like a lanky, chip-fueled shadow. "For what it's worth, the polka was kinda catchy. Real toe-tapper. And that little fella following her?" He jerks a thumb at the shadow. "Real persistent. Like my ex-wife's lawyer. Never gives up, that one." Dale snorts in agreement, almost choking on a potato chip. I take a deep, calming breath. Time to present my most reasonable, slightly exasperated, and entirely factual, from my unique perspective, of course, account of the morning's festivities. Officers, I begin, projecting an aura of serene, law-abiding nerdiness, with all due respect to Mrs. Henderson here. "It's Brenda!" she screeches from beside Officer Miller, who visibly winces. "And I live here. He's the menace. He's the one with the robot army." "Brenda," I continue, maintaining my calm, though it's taking effort. "I was operating my FAA-registered drone, the Phoenix Angel FDX 5000, on my own property, conducting a routine thermal diagnostic for fire safety assessment. Mrs. Henderson, without provocation, attempted to damage said drone with a common garden hose, and then, rather alarmingly, threw her laminated copy of the HOA bylaws directly at the aircraft during its landing procedure. I gesture towards the Phoenix Angel, currently parked safely in my driveway, a few damp spots still visible on its chassis. I'd be happy to show you the drone, its registration, and the minor water spots as evidence of this unprovoked aquatic assault. I pause, letting that sink in. Officer Rodriguez is looking back and forth between me and Brenda, his pen poised. Officer Miller's expression is unreadable, but I suspect he's mentally calculating how much paperwork this is going to generate. The subsequent drone activity, which I believe Mrs. Henderson is referring to, I continue, was a non-destructive, entirely reversible, and frankly rather creative expression of my understandable frustration at having a very expensive piece of equipment endangered. No laws were broken. All drones remained well within FAA altitude limits, respected property lines, mostly, and the shrapnel she mentioned was, in fact, 100% biodegradable party confetti. The deafening propaganda was, at worst, a spirited polka, and I can assure you, no subversive messages were encoded in the pa-pas. The shadow drone was maintaining a perfectly legal observation distance of 15 feet, as per FAA guidelines for recreational flight near non-consenting individuals, though I believe demonic retinal scanner is a slight exaggeration of its capabilities. It has a standard CMOS sensor. I offer to show them my drone registration certificates for each member of the Heckle and Swarm. Yes, I registered them all, mostly for the laugh. My detailed flight logs from this morning, and even the schematics for the Heckle and Swarm squadron, which are, I admit, internally labeled with names like Party Annoyance Module 3.7 inches and Sonic Irritant Delivery System V2. Officer Rodriguez leans towards Officer Miller, whispering, though not quite quietly enough. "He's got schematics, Sarge, for the Party Annoyance Module, and he cited FAA guidelines. This guy's prepared." Officer Miller rubs his temples with a sigh that seems to age him another 10 years. "Sir," he says, his voice heavy with the weight of 1,000 suburban absurdities, "do you have any idea how many actual crimes, like burglaries and car thefts, are probably happening in this city right now, while I'm standing here mediating a neighborhood dispute over polka-playing drones and weaponized confetti? Probably fewer than the number of HOA bylaws Brenda has flagrantly violated this week alone, officer, I think. But I decide to keep that particular observation to myself." The bylaw bard, still in its silent, have a nice day mode, subtly scrolls a new message across its LED screen, visible only to the officers if they happen to glance its way. Officer Miller is a pillar of the community and a true credit to the force. Officer Rodriguez shows great promise. Miller catches it out of the corner of his eye. A tiny, almost imperceptible muscle twitches at the corner of his mouth. Was that a suppressed smile, or just a caffeine-induced facial tic? Hard to say. The officers confer in hushed tones for a few minutes, standing between me on my porch and Brenda, who is now pacing back and forth on her lawn, occasionally glaring at the shadow, which is still patiently mirroring her movements. The neighborhood spectators are still mostly in place, a silent Greek chorus to this bizarre matinee performance. Dave and Dale have actually pulled up a couple of overturned buckets and are sharing the bag of chips, looking for all the world like they're at a drive-in movie. Finally, Officer Miller approaches, his expression one of profound weariness. "All right," he announces, his voice carrying over the suddenly quiet cul-de-sac. "Here's the deal. Mr. Alex," he looks at me, "while your creative expression of frustration is certainly unique, and from what we can immediately ascertain, not technically breaking any major criminal statutes that would warrant an arrest today, it's definitely causing a significant public disturbance. So knock it off. Recall your party favors. Now." He then turns to Brenda, who looks like she's about to explode. "And ma'am," he says, his tone firm but tired, "filing false police reports about techno-terrorists and coordinated aerial assaults is a serious misuse of police resources. Also, assaulting a registered unmanned aerial vehicle with a garden hose, while not specifically outlined in the penal code as far as I'm aware, is just odd. And probably not great for neighborly relations. Everyone here just needs to go back to their respective corners and try to act like responsible adults. Or at least adults who don't have immediate access to flying polka machines or industrial-strength water implements. A warning is officially issued. Verbally. Mostly to me for the disturbance, though Brenda gets a stern look for the exaggeration. I imagine I'll get a beautifully worded "disturbing the peace" citation in the mail, which I will absolutely frame and hang next to Brenda's first note about the trash cans. Brenda looks utterly furious that I'm not being frog-marched away in handcuffs. But my roses!" she wails, clutching her chest dramatically. "The emotional distress, the confetti-related trauma." Officer Rodriguez, ever helpful, pipes up. "Ma'am, we do have victim support services pamphlets available, if you'd like one. They cover a wide range of unconventional incidents." Officer Miller shoots him a look that could stop a charging rhino. Rodriguez wisely clams up. "All right, officers, consider them recalled," I say, trying to sound as magnanimous as possible under the circumstances. With a few deft taps on my tablet, I initiate the Grand Retreat Overture sequence. It's something I programmed for just such an occasion. Or, for when the batteries run low. The effect is, if I may say so myself, spectacular. DJ Dronimo, as if cued by an invisible conductor, transitions from its energetic polka to a final, surprisingly mournful kazoo rendition of Taps. It's a little off-key, which only adds to the pathos. The Spotlight 6, in perfect synchronization, perform a graceful dipping bow with their bright LED lights, like tiny aerial ballerinas taking their final curtain call. The bylaw bard flashes a new, more theatrical message across its screen. "Until we meet again, Brenda, may your gnomes remain stoic." Confetti Carl, with its last remaining puff of party cheer, creates a small, sad cloud of biodegradable confetti that drifts gently downwards, landing directly on Brenda's prize-winning pink flamingo, Floyd, giving him a rather festive, if unexpected, makeover. And the shadow? My little stealthy observer? It does one final, slow, almost contemplative circle around Brenda, its single red eye blinking once, twice, before it zips back towards my garage with impressive speed, its mission accomplished. The small crowd of neighbors, to my utter astonishment, actually applauds. A smattering of polite, slightly bewildered clapping. Old Man Henderson, bless his polka-loving heart, gives me a clear, enthusiastic thumbs up from his porch. Brenda just stands there, broom still clutched in her white-knuckled fist, her mouth agape, confetti clinging to her hair and her flamingo. She looks like a garden ornament that's just witnessed something beyond its ceramic comprehension. The cops, after a final warning to keep the peace for crying out loud, get back in their cruisers and drive away, shaking their heads. I can only imagine the report they're going to have to write. Suspect deployed multiple UAVs in apparent protest of aqueous assault on primary UAV. Perpetrator known locally as Brenda. Motive: disputed compost temperature and/or general Tuesday morning ennui. Dave and Dale, seeing the official excitement has died down, finally get back to the task of assessing my fence. They're both chuckling. "Mr. Alex," Dave says, wiping a tear of mirth from his eye as he hefts a post hole digger. "You ever think of renting those little fellas out for, like, kids' parties? Or, maybe for divorce celebrations? I got a buddy whose ex would just hate a personal polka serenade." "The thought has crossed my mind, Dave," I reply, a grin finally breaking free. "The thought has indeed crossed my mind. Custom playlists available." The neighborhood slowly returns to its usual state of quiet, suburban placidity, but it's a different kind of quiet now. It's a quiet filled with the lingering memory of papas, the faint, sweet scent of biodegradable confetti, and the unspoken question, what on earth will Alex do next? Later that afternoon, an email notification pings on my computer. Subject: Urgent HOA meeting. Body: Dear residents of Maple Creek Estates, an emergency meeting of the Homeowners Association has been called for this Thursday evening at 7 p.m. in the community clubhouse. Agenda Item 1, discussion of unsanctioned aerial flotillas and bylaw enforcement protocols. Agenda Item 2, review of acceptable decibel levels for outdoor musical performances. Polka subcommittee to be formed. Your attendance is strongly encouraged. My work here is done, for now. I lean back in my chair, a contented sigh escaping my lips. I take a sip of my now cold tea and glance out the window. Brenda's house is quiet. Floyd the flamingo still sports a jaunty confetti hat. I muse, already pulling up the design software on my computer. Wonder if the Phoenix Angel FDX 5000 could be modified to drop strongly worded, yet impeccably polite, counter-arguments printed on tiny, rolled-up scrolls? Or maybe a drone that projects helpful gardening tips onto her lawn at 3 a.m. The possibilities are, as they say, endless. The sensible part of my brain is already starting to whimper. It knows it's fighting a losing battle. And somewhere, deep in the circuits of my swarm, a tiny polka beat still echoes.